My daughter's dark secret, switched plates to expose her shocking act in my soup at 3 a.m., the clock struck 3. The house sat wrapped in a heavy silence, broken only by the distant howl of the wind outside. But something sinister was brewing in the kitchen. I tiptoed down the dimly lit hallway, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. That nagging feeling in my gut whispered something was very wrong. And then I saw it, a figure, shadowy and small, hunched over the table, her dark hair obscuring her face. My daughter, Lily, was doing something strange, something that sent chills skittering down my spine. Light danced across the counter, revealing not just the remnants of dinner but also a plate suspiciously out of place. My hands trembled as I reached out, drawing nearer. The air felt thick, heavy with unsaid secrets and the tang of anxiety. There, on the plate, a single glimmer caught my eye, a compact spoon, stained with a reddish hue. Was that? I blinked hard, pushing the dread back in my throat. My mind raced with thoughts of the soup I'd just had. What if she had used this for something else? I stepped closer. Lily was muttering, words slurred like she was in a trance. I only wanted to know, she murmured, eyes glazed over like a doll's. My pulse quickened. What was she trying to find out? My nightmares flared with images of betrayal. Had my little girl turned into a stranger in the night? Suddenly, she snapped her head up, eyes wide and wild, locking onto mine. The fear etched in her features screamed for help. Mom, you don't understand. Her voice cut through the tension, and I froze, a lump forming in my throat. I could hardly breathe. I had to know if it was real before we continue. I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. What had I missed? What secret was lurking beneath this innocent guise? I reached for the plate, dread clawing at my insides. Each passing second felt like an eternity. Lily, what did you do? I whispered harshly, my voice shaking. The quiet of the night settled in, a heavy blanket refusing to be pulled away. I needed answers, but all I could feel was a cold sweat creeping down my spine as her next words hung in the air like a storm about to break. I wanted to see if you really loved me, the words echoed, reverberating through the space, and I stood there, shocked and confused. What could possibly lead her to this? What lay behind the depths of her small, fragile heart? The tension thickened, but the truth felt just beyond my grasp, ready to unravel into something far darker than I had ever imagined. My head spun as I stepped back, forcing my breath to calm down. I had to know how deep this rabbit hole went. Mom, please. You have to believe me. Lily's voice trembled, the urgency breaking through the daze. I could barely comprehend her words, the weight of fear pushing against my chest. What had I done that would make her question my love? I don't understand. I cried out, my voice shaky, desperate for clarity. What do you mean, see if it was real? Her hands gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white against the scratched surface. I thought if I mixed a bit of the soup with the other, you'd feel something. What if I'm not worth loving? What if it's all just an act? Her anguish pulsed through each word, raw and cutting. At that moment, terror crashed into me. My mind reeled as I processed the implications behind her actions. I hadn't just made dinner, I had unknowingly thrust a darkness into her unsure heart. Had my recent struggles, my late nights of worry, affected her so deeply? I had been fighting my own demons, financial difficulties, a crumbling relationship with her father, the kind of things no child should bear witness to. I took a step closer, drawn by protective instinct. Lily, I love you. Nothing will change that, I vowed, my voice softer now. But the shadows in her eyes remained, flickering with doubt. No. That's not enough. She shook her head violently. Love should be tested. It should be real. She sounded like a wounded animal, cornered and scared. I had to pull her back from the edge. Honey, listen. Love isn't something you test. It's something you feel, and you. Before I could finish, she slipped the spoon back into a pocket, eyes glistening with something more profound than fear. Do you even know what it's like to feel unloved? The rawness of her question struck me. Surely, growing up in a home buoyed by unconditional love should shield her. But over the past months, my struggles had overshadowed our moments together. The very love I thought would be obvious was blurry to her now. Suddenly, the kitchen door creaked, a gust of wind howling as if something unseen were pushing against it. My heart lurched. Was there someone else in the house? I looked back at Lily, but her focus darted beyond me to the door. The inflection in the air changed tense, electric. Mom. She whispered, fear spluttering her words. Stay here. I ordered, slipping past her to the door. My heart raced, every instinct screamed at me to turn back, to protect her from whatever was out there. As I reached for the knob, the door swung open with a sudden force, slamming against the wall. My breath caught in my throat, a rush of adrenaline surging through me. I stood there, paralyzed, a gust enveloped me like a shroud, chilling me to the bone. And then I saw it, a figure cloaked in shadow, silhouetted against the moonlight, staring into our home with haunting eyes that I felt a frisson of fear wash over me. Who was it? What did they want? Lily's voice trembled behind me. Mom, please don't let them in. A shudder coursed through me as I realized it wasn't just about Lily anymore. This was bigger than our fragmented love. Something dark was creeping into our lives, and if I didn't act fast, everything I held dear could slip away. Who are you? I demanded, my voice barely above a whisper. The figure shifted, a glint of recognition sparking in the night. And then, as if drawn by a haunted memory, they stepped forward, breaking the veil of shadow. Mommy, I'm home, they whispered, and my heart dropped, certainty crashing through the night air like glass shattering in silence. Who was this? What had happened? The answers felt as unsettling as the storm gathering on the horizon. I needed to know, but now the question was, could I handle what was to come? The figure before me wore a familiar face, but it seemed twisted, warped by shadows and a darkness I couldn't understand. My heart raced, pounding against my ribs like a caged animal striving for freedom. Mommy, I'm home. The voice rang like a distant echo, bittersweet and clawing at the depths of my memory. My mind was spinning, grasping for logic. It couldn't be. Not after everything. Emma. I gasped, the name slipping dangerously from my lips. It was my lost daughter, gone far too soon. But who stood before me now was a mere shell, eyes hollow and filled with an unfathomable pain. Lily's breath hitched behind me. What's happening? She whimpered, her small body trembling as she gripped the edge of the table, eyes wide with a combination of curiosity and terror. Stay back, Lily, I commanded, stepping instinctively in front of my daughter, eyes locked on the figure. You shouldn't be here. Emma's lips twisted into a smile that sent chills down my spine. But I am, Mommy. I always have been, watching, waiting. I could hardly process the implication. Was this some twisted joke? But deep inside, dread coiled tighter, and I struggled to keep my composure. Emma hadn't just vanished, she had been taken from us, swallowed by a reality I had never fully understood. This was not a homecoming. This was a nightmare. Why are you here? What do you want? My voice was steadier than I felt, but a knot of fear settled in my stomach. Everything you've done. Every tear you shed, you thought it was all over. But there's so much more. She laughed lightly, a sound that echoed out of place in our home, a melody tainted with sadness and fury. You're not alone anymore, Mom. Not anymore. Get away from us. Lily shouted, rising to her feet, her childish defiance a stark contrast to the danger engulfing us. "You're not our family." Emma's smile widened, but her eyes darkened. "Oh, but I am. I've seen what you're hiding, Lily. What you're really afraid of." The air in the room thickened, an electric charge of tension ringing in my ears. I glanced back at Lily, whose face wore a look of sheer disbelief. My heart ached for her, torn between fear and the yearning for connection. "Go inside," I whispered to her, trying to project calm despite the anguish roiling within. "It's not safe here." But Lily's gaze held steady, resolute. "No. I'm not leaving you." "Who is she?" I felt the walls begin to close in around us, something dark and insidious creeping from the corners of my mind. Emma stepped further into the light, and I was struck by the haunting memories that flooded in a forgotten childhood, laughter replaced by silence, hints of something hidden just out of sight. "You don't see, do you? It's not just me. You both have been living a lie." Emma's voice dripped with something malignant, a twisted affection that felt suffocating. "I wanted to show you the truth all along. You were blind to it." A chill coursed down my spine. The room felt colder, shadows elongating menacingly like hands reaching for me. "What truth?" I barely managed to ask, dread clawing at my throat. "Mommy, you'll find out soon enough." And with that, she darted out of the light, the shadows swallowing her whole. The door slammed shut, snapping us back into the suffocating silence. "Mom!" Lily cried, rushing to my side. "What is happening? What does she mean?" But I had no answers. The echoes of each word hung heavily in the air, dark and viperous. My heart raced as I looked around, searching for what could come next, as if the darkness had eyes watching, waiting. What if Lily hesitated, staring blankly at the door? What if she is telling the truth? My chest tightened, panic edging its way in. "We need to leave now." But as I turned to usher Lily out, the shadows shifted again and I froze, a cold dread coursing through me. There, on the kitchen counter, lay a scrap of paper, intricate handwriting scrawled across it. "Find me before it's too late." What did it mean? What had I not known? Chaos loomed close, and as I grasped for an understanding, I couldn't shake the chilling realization unraveling the mystery might come at a terrible cost. But what was the truth lurking just beneath the surface? I snatched the scrap of paper off the counter, its edges rough against my fingers. The words danced before my eyes, whispering secrets I wasn't ready to confront. Find me before it's too late. What kind of twisted game was this? My mind raced, memories flooding back. Emma's laughter, her tiny hands grasping at mine, all the moments taken from me. But this felt different. "Mom." Lily's voice was small, pulling me from my spiraling thoughts. She stood just behind me, her face a mask of confusion and fear. "We have to go, now," I urged, shoving the note into my pocket. I glanced around, feeling eyes on us. Shadows lurked, clinging to the corners of the room, warping the familiar into the grotesque. Outside, the world felt stifled, heavy with unspoken danger. I gripped Lily's hand tightly, our connection a fragile lifeline in the encroaching darkness. Each step felt weighted, as if the ground beneath us was trying to pull us back. "Mom, can't we just call someone?" Lily asked, uncertainty quaking in her voice. "No. No phones," I snapped, the urgency wrapping around my throat. "No one can know, not yet." I needed to protect her, to shield her from whatever peril Emma represented. But I also knew that running wouldn't solve anything. The truth would end up finding us. As we moved toward the door, a loud crack echoed through the eerily silent house. Something had shifted. I whipped around, dread curling in my stomach. But the room was still, the haunting emptiness a reminder of Emma's presence that lingered like the scent of smoke after a fire had died. "Mom, what if Emma's really here?" Lily whispered. Her eyes were wide, reflecting a child's fear. "I don't know, but we can't let her win," I replied, forcing bravado into my voice. But my heart pounded in protest, a stark reminder that I knew so little about what was truly at stake. Just as we stepped outside, a flicker of movement caught my eye. I turned sharply, and there, at the edge of the porch, a shadow lingered, a dark figure that melted into the night. "Mom!" Lily yanked on my arm. "Did you see that?" "Yes." My voice was barely a whisper. The figure had moved too quickly, disappearing as soon as I had spotted it. "We have to hurry." We raced down the steps, the gravel crunching under our feet as we hurried away from the house, a house that had turned into a prison of memories and secrets. My breath was ragged, panic weaving through my veins. "Where do we go?" Lily asked, glancing over her shoulder. "What if she follows us?" "The old library, it's south, the safest place I can think of." The library was a fortress of knowledge, a place where not only histories were kept but where darkness often could be illuminated by the right light. As we moved down the dimly lit street, I felt an overwhelming sense of foreboding. The air was thick with tension, every bend cloaked in shadow. "Emma's not the same," I murmured, more to myself than to Lily, struggling with the heavy truth. "She's changed. Maybe she just wants to come home." Lily's innocent hope pierced through my uncertainty. "No. She doesn't. She's not our Emma anymore," I insisted, the anger bubbling up in me. "We have to protect ourselves." But in the back of my mind, doubts started to take root. What if she was trying to reach out? Suddenly, a sharp crack broke through the night, causing us both to jump. I turned, eyes scanning for the source. In the distance, the library's silhouette loomed closer, but the shadows danced menacingly, promising secrets darker than I had imagined. When we finally reached the massive doors of the library, I hesitated, my breath hitching in my throat. What awaited us inside? Were answers hidden among the dusty tomes, or were they merely new traps lurking in the dark? I pushed the doors open and stepped inside, my heart pounding like a drum. Silence enveloped us, heavy yet soothing, offering a false sense of safety. But just as I began to breathe, the light flickered, plunging us into darkness, the shadows growing thicker around us. And then, that laughter echoed through the stillness, sharp, joyful. Haunting. "Mommy! I found you!" With a jolt, I shouted, "Lily, run!" As the shadows closed in, I realized that the truth had never been so terrifying. What had I unleashed by seeking it? And who, or what, was in the waiting dark? The sound of Lily's terrified gasp cut through the thick veil of darkness, wrapping around us like a noose. I spun toward the sound of the laughter, panic blooming in my chest. The shadows twisted and turned, coalescing into shapes that danced along the library's towering bookshelves, their outlines barely visible in the faint light. "Mommy! I found you!" The voice, sweet but twisted, echoed from deep within the shadows, sending a chill racing down my spine. It was Emma's voice, but twisted, as if a pretender wore her skin. My heart raced, my instincts screaming at me to run. "Keep moving, Lily," I urged, pulling her small hand tight in mine as we stumbled deeper into the library. The smell of old books and dust surrounded us, masking the danger lurking just outside the flickering lights. "Mom!" Lily's voice trembled, fear clinging to her words like a thick fog. "No!" I snapped, my fear spilling over into frustration. "We can't stop. We need to find a way out." As we hurried through the aisles, my eyes darted around for anything that could help us, a weapon, a clue, a way to escape. The whispers of the past seemed to wrap around us, pulling us into a maw of darkness. Just then, the laughter again, this time closer. It ricocheted off the walls, making my skin prickle. "Mommy, don't you want to play?" I stopped dead, my breath hanging in the frigid air. "Play?" I muttered incredulously. This was beyond a game. Everything I feared was clawing its way back into reality, and there was no space for innocence here. "Mom!" Lily whimpered, her voice breaking my focus. I felt her trembling hand grasp mine tighter, her small fingers cold and frightened. "Stay close," I commanded, desperation tightening my throat. We moved toward the back of the library, where the towering shelves began to close in around us, a labyrinth of stories long forgotten. Suddenly, the power flickered again, plunging us into complete darkness. My heart thundered in my ears, each beat reminding me of how fragile our reality was. I struggled to maintain my composure, praying that I could hold Lily's fear at bay. "Mom, I can't see," she squeaked, panic evident in her voice. That I knelt down to her level, instinctively cupping her face in my hands. "Look at me, Lily. You're going to be okay. Just trust me." I could feel her tiny heartbeat against my palm, a reminder of what was at stake. Then, as if orchestrated by some malevolent spirit, lights flickered back on. But they danced in a dim, sickly glow that highlighted another figure moving through the stacks. The shadow again, its outline barely recognizable. "Emma?" I called out, voice quivering. It felt ridiculous, shouting for someone I knew wasn't her. The figure stopped, tilting its head as if reconsidering me. "Mommy, don't you want to see me?" The voice sang, laced with sweetness and menace. "No," I shouted, feeling a mixture of defiance and terror surge within me. "You're not my daughter. You can't." A swift movement caught my eye. Right then, I felt a cold breath on my neck, and I whipped around. But there was nothing behind me. I spun back to the figure, my only instinct driving me forward as I pushed through the aisles. "Lily, follow me." My voice was hoarse, but I was determined. We dashed toward the emergency exit sign glowing faintly at the far end of the room, our lifeline. But as we ran, reality twisted once more. The emergency door wasn't just an exit, it felt like walking into a trap. Each step felt heavier, as if the ground itself was trying to hold us back, the shadows thickening once again as if they had teeth. Just when we reached the door, it slammed shut before us with a loud bang, echoing through the library like a death knell. Our eyes widened in fear, breath caught in our throats, as the figure stepped closer, its features becoming clearer, eyes wide with an eerie familiarity. "I don't want to play alone," it echoed, the words slithering through the air. My heart raced, thundering in the silence. What had I awakened? And how could I protect Lily from what Emma had become? As the figure lunged forward, I braced myself, the cold dread settling in my gut. "Mommy, help!" Lily screamed, and I realized, in that moment, we might not make it out after all. What had once been a refuge was now the belly of a beast, hungry for the truth I had tried to bury. And that laughter, it wasn't done yet. The figure sped toward us, a blur of distorted familiarity. It was as if the darkness bled into a shape, a line crossing back and forth between the real Emma and this monstrous replica. The air grew thick, suffocating, as if the library itself conspired against us. "Lily, run!" I screamed, adrenaline surging through my veins like wildfire. I felt the pull of dread choke me, but I had to focus. I thrust my body in front of Lily, instinctively shielding her, desperate to protect her from whatever horror lurked in that twisted reflection of my daughter. The being hesitated, its eyes flickering between joy and torment, and I could see it waver, a shimmer of the girl I knew before darkness consumed her. "Mommy," it rasped, voice sweet yet cold like a winter gale. "No!" I roared, stepping closer. "You're not her. Get away from my daughter." My voice echoed back to me, twisted and taunting, as if the library itself laughed at my defiance. "Why won't you play with me?" the shadow asked, tilting its head, mocking my resolve. My stomach churned as I felt the heaviness of the past fill the air, the memories tangling with terror. "Because you're not Emma. You're something else," I shouted fiercely, hoping to drown out the panic clawing at my throat. Then, out of desperation, I reached into my pocket, grasping for the small flashlight I always kept there. I turned it on, its beam cutting through the oppressive darkness, illuminating the figure's face. The moment the light hit, the creature recoiled, shrieking, and the harsh sound reverberated through the library, a mix of rage and pain that burned. Shadows slashed at the corners of my vision, swirling in chaos as the beam flickered and danced along the bookshelves. "Come on, Lily." I urged again, tugging at her hand, but she was frozen, paralyzed by fear. "Please, we have to go. Mommy, please." Her voice trembled, barely above a whisper. My heart sank knowing that the bond between us was tested at the edge of the abyss, and in that fraction of a moment, time lost its meaning. I darted my gaze around the library for anything that could help us escape. The emergency exit now felt like a cruel joke, taunting us with its presence almost tantalizingly out of reach. As I turned back, the figure lurched forward again, aglow with an otherworldly hunger. I had only one choice: to fight against the impossible. I directed the light at its chest, hoping that somehow, it would reveal the truth that lay beneath the nightmare. "Stop!" I yelled, the force of my voice echoing off the walls. I focused every ounce of fear, anger, and love for Lily into that single word. A shockwave of energy surged through the room as the figure paused, its monstrous shape flickering as if in a hologram malfunction. Then, something cracked within the shadows. The being recoiled, revealing a glimpse of Emma's face buried deep within its features, terrified yet pleading. "Mommy, don't leave me!" It cried, and for a moment, I saw my daughter, a flicker of the light that once was. "Lily, hold on!" I yelled, gripping her hand tighter. I started forward, determined to pull my daughter from the jaws of this ghastly thing. "We're getting out of here." But in a shocking twist, a hard wind swept through the library, knocking us both off balance. The bookshelves trembled as if caught in a spectral quarrel, and the laughter escalated into maniacal shrieks. "Mommy, it wants to keep me!" Lily cried out, her eyes wide with horror, realizing the truth that I still struggled to face. "We can't stay!" I shouted, my voice now trailing the shriek of the wind. In that very moment, I reached inside myself for every memory of love and warmth, channeling that strength. Preparing to make a final stand, I whispered, "Please, Emma. Come back to us." But the shadows tightened, wrapping around Lily and me like chains, binding us to the fate we feared the most. Suddenly, the lights flickered, dimming again, and for a brief second, the vision of my daughter's face broke through the darkness. A cry echoed. Was it Emma, or some other force altogether? And then silence fell like a heavy curtain. What had I unleashed? Could I really reach my daughter beneath that monstrous facade? As shadows closed in, I knew I had to make a choice. Then, with a heart-stopping clarity, I heard the laughter again, and the world around me began to dissolve. Was this the end, or just the beginning? The darkness wrapped around us like a tightening vice, pressing in from all sides. Each breath felt heavy, weighted down by despair. I could see the shadows writhing against the dim light of my flashlight, a horrific dance that threatened to engulf everything we knew. My mind raced, searching for a way out as I clung to Lily's hand, my grip firm but gentle. "Stay close to me," I urged, my voice barely audible above the howling wind that whipped through the library. I took a step forward, feeling the surge of energy radiating from the beam of light. It illuminated Emma's face, ghostly yet undeniably familiar, caught in a battle against the encroaching darkness that sought to claim her. "What do you want?" I shouted, desperation creeping into my tone. The entity seemed to flinch at the question, its form shimmering like a mirage. The library creaked and groaned, its ancient walls groaning under the pressure of something far beyond comprehension. "I want to play," it whispered again. This time, the voice was softer, almost childlike. I caught a flicker of hope in the familiarity of that tone, a reminder of Emma's laughter, her bright smile. I had to hold on to that. "Emma!" I yelled, desperate now. "Fight back. You're stronger than this. Remember the stories? Remember the songs we sang together?" A shudder passed through the shadow, the darkness swirling like smoke, and in that moment I saw the flicker of fear, the fear of being lost forever. "Mommy?" The voice cracked like ice breaking. "Help me." I could feel the weight of the choice bearing down on me. I needed to believe that this was still my daughter trapped beneath the horror. I had to risk everything. I took a deep breath and called out to her, letting every ounce of love pour into my voice. Emma, I love you. Don't let it take you. Just focus on me. I swung the flashlight in a wide arc, spray light hitting the shelves and bouncing back, illuminating faces of dust-covered books, trapped within their own stories as much as my daughter was trapped now. I took a step closer, backing away from the edge of that dark void. Lily tugged at my arm, her eyes wide, filled with an unsettling mixture of fear and determination. Mommy, what if it hurts her? The thought squeezed my heart, but I had no choice. This was a battle for Emma's soul. We couldn't just stand still. We have to push through the pain, Lily. We're going to bring her back. Trust me. Lily nodded, fear still etched in her young face as we moved together. The wind screamed around us, a cacophony of chaos echoing off the walls, but I focused on the flickering flame of hope ignited by my love for Emma. With every step, the shadows sliced through the air like knives, trying to keep us at bay, but I grounded myself, drawing strength from the very essence of my being. The air crackled, charged with tension, and then, suddenly, the figure lunged forward once more, its monstrous face veiling Emma's in darkness. Help me, Mommy. It was a raw plea, the very last thread connecting the fragments of my daughter to this ghastly creature. My heart raced, a drum within my chest. Hold on, Emma. We're coming. I shouted, channeling every ounce of my love, turning the flashlight directly on the creature's heart. The piercing beam struck true, and the being let out a blood-curdling scream. The air around us rippled violently, the sound coursing through every fiber of my being. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the depths of the dark figure, pushing back against the shadows. Moments stretched into infinity as I felt the tug of both Lily and Emma pulling at my soul. Mommy. Lily's voice broke through the chaos. And then everything went white, the brightness enveloped us, swallowing the shadows whole. I couldn't tell if we were moving forward or backward. Was this the escape I desperately sought, or the darkness consuming us entirely? As the blinding light began to fade, I felt fear clawing at my chest again. A deep, gut-wrenching uncertainty. What awaited us on the other side? Would I find Emma truly there? Or would we be lost forever? In the dark. The bright light faded slowly, and reality punched through the haze, dragging me back to the suffocating library. I blinked against the murky darkness, trying to make sense of my surroundings. Shadows danced around me, a macabre performance of uncertainty. Emma. I gasped, heart pounding. But the only response was an eerie, echoing silence. I squinted my eyes, desperately scanning the dimly lit room. The flashlight flickered hesitantly, a faint glow fighting against the oppressive blackness. My hands trembled, still holding on tightly to Lily's. We have to find her, I whispered, squeezing Lily's hand reassuringly, but the shadows pressed harder, swirling like a vortex ready to consume us again. They whispered secrets, taunting us with the unknown. I gritted my teeth, determined not to succumb to the dread creeping into my bones. Keep your eyes peeled for Emma, I urged, forcing my voice to remain steady, though it quivered with fear. Lily nodded, terror etched across her face, as we stepped deeper into the library's belly. A heavy stillness enveloped us, smothering any hope of comfort. I could almost hear the ticking of a clock somewhere, the rhythm reminding me that time was slipping away. Then, a sound pierced the silence, soft, haunting, like a bell tolling for a lost soul. Mommy, a faint voice called, echoing from the depths of the library. Emma. I shouted, spinning around, desperate to pinpoint the source. The voice carried a tinge of something sinister, an almost playful, yet sorrowful tone. It moved through the air, wrapping around me like a cold breeze. Come and find me, Emma, we're right here. I shouted into the void, truth battling fear for dominance in my chest. I clutched the beam of my flashlight tighter, its light flickering as if it too were afraid. We will find you, sweetheart. Lily tugged at my shirt, her small face pale. What if it's not her, Mommy? What if it's still the thing from before? I hesitated, remembering how Emma's laughter had eerily devolved into a sinister whisper. It was a reminder that the line between her and the darkness had blurred. But the love swelling in my chest overshadowed that fear. We can't back down now. She needs us, I whispered, more to myself than to Lily. We moved further into the heart of the library, the air thick and stifling, every step feeling heavier. Suddenly, the shadows shifted dramatically, opening up to reveal a doorway dimly lit by an otherworldly glow. Something in my gut churned. I felt as though what lay beyond the door was a moment of tremendous consequence. Lily, we have to go in, I urged, feeling the weight of inevitability pulling at me, but the moment we stepped toward that glow, the whispers intensified, transforming into a chaotic chorus. Help us echoed around us, intertwining with an unnatural laughter that sent chills down my spine. Mommy. I'm scared. Lily's voice broke through the chaos, her fear palpable. I took a deep breath, steeling my resolve. Stay close, Lily. We'll face this together. As I pushed through the luminous doorway, I found myself in a small, circular room lined with the same books that had been haunting me. But they were different here, glowing softly, as if possessing the secrets of the universe. Mommy? Is this where she is? The anxiety in Lily's voice cut through me like a knife. Before I could reply, the lights flickered and dimmed. A figure emerged from the shadows, an image so familiar yet grotesquely twisted. It was Emma, or at least a distorted version of her, caught between light and darkness. Mommy, she whispered again, but this time her voice wavered, a blend of sweetness and spite. You shouldn't have come. My heart froze. What did she mean? Emma! I shouted, reaching out with my light. But as I took a step forward, the air thickened impossibly, like we were walking through molasses. Choose, Mommy, which one do you love more? My mind spun as the dark figure giggled, blending with the bright apparition of my daughter. One was my Emma, the other, something entirely different. The choice loomed over me like a storm cloud. And then everything went black again. What was truly happening? Would I be able to save Emma, or was this dark entity merely playing with my mind? The suffocating uncertainty crept back, and I couldn't shake the sense that the real nightmare was just beginning. What would I sacrifice to find my daughter? That terrifying question echoed in my mind as darkness enveloped us once more. I gasped, catching my breath as the void receded, only to find myself back in the circular room, the distorted specter of Emma still looming before me. Her face, once familiar, had shifted into something more ominous, as if the very shadows were feeding off the uncertainty in my heart. The air thickened further, seeming to pulse with an almost sentient awareness. Which one do you love more? She repeated, her voice dancing mockingly through the darkness. I felt an electric shock race up my spine. Was this really my daughter, or some cruel trick of the library's dark magic? The books lining the walls pulsed softly, glowing with a macabre light, as if eager to whisper their secrets. I took a step forward, feeling an invisible weight dragging me down, every instinct screaming to turn back. I love Emma, I said, forcing the words out past the lump in my throat. You are my daughter. You need to fight it. Emma's face flickered, battling against the shadows. In that moment, I saw glimpses of my little girl, the way she used to smile, the sparkle in her bright eyes. But just as quickly, that warmth was swallowed by the gut-wrenching mask of darkness. She's lost, the dark figure sang, tilting its head in mock sorrow. You can't save what no longer exists. A shiver climbed down my spine at the implication. My sense of reality crumbled as the whispers grew louder, wrapping around me like a noose. Help us, they cried, thousands of voices crescendoing into a frantic plea. But who was asking for help? Was it Emma, the genuine part of her trapped in the depths of despair, or the entity that thrived on my fear? Stop. Just stop. I yelled, frustration boiling over. My pulse pounded in my ears as I desperately searched the room for some sign, some path to take. I want to choose. You can't force me. Suddenly, the floor trembled beneath me, books shifting violently as if the library itself were alive, responding to my defiance. The spectre roared with laughter, a cacophony that mixed with the haunting whispers. "Choose, or lose everything," it taunted. Terror gripped me as I glanced at Lily, still rooted in place, her terrified eyes wide and glistening with tears. "Don't listen," I called out to her. "We can get out of this together." "Mommy, what is happening?" Lily sobbed, her tiny voice trembling. At that moment, something inside me shifted. The shadows danced and fluttered, anxiety snaking through my veins. I had to find strength not just for me, but for my child, for Emma, the real Emma. With a newfound determination, I stepped closer to the glowing figure. "You're not my daughter, and you don't get to choose. I choose love." The shadows recoiled at my words, shrieking like wild animals exposed to light. My flashlight flickered violently, reflecting the struggle unfolding before me. Emma's true self flickered briefly, trapped between two worlds, as the laughter morphed into rage. "Love doesn't exist in the dark spectre hissed, its face twisting into a mask of fury. "You'll lose them both." "Never!" I shouted, the word thunderous in the tiny space, resonating deep within me. "I won't lose Emma." As if my declaration had cracked a dam, the shadows around us surged, lashing out wildly. The room spun, the air thickening until I could hardly breathe. I felt the true weight of the irony. Love was indeed a risk, a knife-edge decision, but it was my responsibility to wield it, and just when I thought I could burst through the chaos, an unearthly howling erupted, shaking the very walls of the room. I clamped my eyes shut, ready to face whatever horror awaited. And then silence. My heart raced, thundering in my chest as the eerie stillness wrapped around me. Had something changed? Was the darkness retreating? I opened my eyes slowly, fear gripping me once again. Before me stood both figures, one glowing with warmth, the other shrouded in shadow, a juxtaposition of innocence and menace. "Choose, Mommy," she said softly, her voice now laced with hints of despair. But was it really a choice? What lay ahead of me? In that moment of clarity, dread clawed at my gut. Time slipped further away, teasing and taunting as the darkness swirled in taut spirals, eager to consume us whole once again. Could I truly save Emma, or would I plunge into the abyss if I made the wrong choice? Just then, something stirred in the shadows behind Emma, an even darker presence. A new horror emerged, whispers wrapping around me like a seductive maze. What new terror awaited us? The air hung heavy with dread, wrapping around me like a suffocating shroud. My heart raced as I faced both figures, one a flicker of light and love, the other an abomination of darkness. What do I do? My voice quivered as I struggled against the weight of the impossible choice before me. "Mommy, please." Emma's voice trembled, the brightness fading just slightly, tugging deeply on my heart. "Help me." But was it really her? I was standing on the precipice between love and despair. The darkness behind her pulsated, drawing closer. I could feel the cold creeping along my skin, a chilling whisper urging me to choose the shadow too familiar, too enticing. "No!" I yelled, shaking my head violently. "Not like this." The shadows writhed, twisting and curling like snakes. "You have to choose." The dark whisper echoed, mocking my resolve. "Choose the right side, or lose the one you love." "Emma, I know you're in there," I called out, locking my gaze on the glowing figure. "Fight back against this darkness. You're stronger. Remember the music, remember our stories." For a moment, her features flickered, struggling against the torment binding her, but then the shadow surged, coiling around Emma, feeding off her fear. "Mom, please," she whispered, a tinge of panic threading through her voice. "Emma," I pleaded, stepping closer, desperate to break the barrier between us. "You haven't lost. I see you. You are my daughter, and I love you." The air crackled with pure energy as my declaration resonated through the room. echoing against the walls of the library as if my love itself was a weapon forged to fight back the darkness. A bright glow surged from the heart of the true Emma, struggling against her tether to the shadows. My flashlight suddenly flickered out, leaving us enveloped in a pitch-black void. Fear clawed deep within me, but I refused to be consumed. Emma, I'm right here. I'm not giving up. I felt the heat of my own love pushing back against the darkness. Choose, the entity hissed, its voice now sharp and taunting, as if it thrived on the tension. No more. I shouted defiantly. I want to choose. There's no choice in love. A wave of raw emotion surged through me as I pressed forward, grit filling my resolve. You can't take my love away. At that moment, everything shifted. Light burst in a dazzling display, illuminating every corner of the library with an otherworldly glow. The shadows reeled back, howling in agony, while the flickering form of Emma shimmered brightly. Mommy? She said, her real voice breaking through the chaos. Emma. That's you. I felt the warmth of hope flood my chest. Take my hand. She lunged forward, reaching for me, our fingers brushing against one another. As our hands connected, a surge of energy erupted, shifting the very air around us. The darkness wrapped tightly around us, but I felt a force surging through my veins, fueled by love, a lifeline in our darkest hour. Together. I shouted, the power of our bond igniting like a wildfire. We weren't just facing this darkness. We were confronting it with the fiercest weapon of all, love. As we stood hand in hand, I watched Emma's true face break through the surface, her eyes wide and shimmering with light. The darkness swirled frantically, feeding off chaos with desperate shrieks, but I pushed forward, our united front unwavering. Get back! Emma cried, her voice a beacon of hope. The light radiated from her, burning brighter with every ounce of love that filled the air between us. In one final surge, the shadows writhed violently, as if caught in a storm, and with a piercing scream, they shattered, sweet music of freedom filling the air. All at once, the weight of despair lifted, leaving us standing amidst shifting light, clarity illuminating our way. I tightened my grip on Emma, feeling the warmth of her body, the rhythm of her heart, a memory rekindled. It's okay, I whispered, relief swelling through me as the shadows dissipated, revealing an opening in the library, a path that led us away from the darkness. What now? Lily's small voice trembled, but I could see a flicker of hope ignite in her eyes as we turned toward the light. We follow it, I breathed, determination fueling my steps as I led my daughters toward the exit. We go home. As we stepped into the warmth beyond the threshold, the dreadful weight of the library faded behind us, replaced by a fresh breeze and warmth of the sun's light, breaking through the mist of the unknown. Each step toward home filled me with a renewed sense of possibility, but more importantly, I had my daughters beside me, bound together by the love that once felt shattered but now glimmered brighter than anything I'd ever known. We didn't look back. Together, we forged ahead into the light, ready to face whatever lay in wait, knowing we were stronger in our unity, unbreakable in our love. But just before we crossed the threshold completely, I paused for a moment, sending a silent acknowledgement to the darkness that had sought to claim us. You may have lost today, but darkness never truly fades, my heart whispered, steadfast in the hope that love could conquer even our deepest fears, and that was a truth worth remembering. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the adventure alive. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Your voice matters. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Your support is vital, and only true fans understand the importance of these actions.